Welcome to Mindfulness Lists. All structures are unstable is the next section of A New Earth by Eckhart Tolle. We've been talking about this for a long time. It's pretty clear. The writing's on the wall. The only thing in life, only things, I guess I can include a couple ones. I thought about that for a second and I didn't want to sound too depressing or negative. Things that are guaranteed in life. Let's see, what are we guaranteed? We're probably guaranteed to be born. We're probably guaranteed to wake up in the morning, and we're guaranteed to go to sleep at night. We're guaranteed to eat, and we're guaranteed to go to the bathroom, and we're guaranteed to die. And most of all, we're guaranteed change constantly. So all structures are unstable. It's pretty evident. At the end of the section, Eckhart Tolle tells a little story. He says, as I was walking with a friend through a beautiful nature reserve near Malibu, we came upon the ruins of what had once been a country house destroyed by fire several decades ago. As we approached the property, long overgrown with trees and all kinds of magnificent plants, there was a sign by the side of the trail put there by the park authorities. It read, "Danger. All structures are unstable." I said to my friend, that's a profound sutra, a sacred scripture. And we stood there in awe. That's wonderful. It is just, if you have any experience in life, everything comes and goes. And it's kind of a double-edged sword. Sometimes you'll be really excited about something, a concert, a birthday, a trip, maybe, and sometimes they're good and sometimes they're bad. You know, you're waiting to go to the concert, and then you finally, the day of the concert comes, and you go, let me tell you a little story. I'll tell you a little story about one of the concerts I went to, and actually, it was such a mixed bag. So I went to go see Primus when I was, I don't know, I must have been in my early 20s. So I go up to Northern California, and I love the Bay Area. The concert was at the Berkeley Greek Theater. Awesome venue, just awesome venue. So went up to NorCal and got to the show. Was just so happy to be there. And I was a kid, so I was pretty out of control. You know, on that trip, I wasn't too out of control. I think I was 21, so I was probably a little bit drunk, had been smoking some weed. And so my friend, as it happens, got hurt. We were in a boat, and he got cut on his face, and so he could not go into the mosh pit. Primus, just awesome show. Awesome show. So anyways, I'm a pretty small person. So right when the show went on, I decided I was going to go up to the front. So I couldn't get up to the front. So I had some people throw me up on top of the crowd to crowd surf. So I'm sitting up there crowd surfing on top of these people. It was awesome. I felt like it was one of the climax of my life. I was just in my youth, and I was so young, and I'm a small person, so I was able to walk on top of these people, and I'm walking on top of these people, and I'm looking back at my bro because he can't, come up into the pit because he's got stitches in his face. And so I was like, just basking in it, just enjoying it so much. And so something happened. I'm up there for a long time. These people are throwing me around, and I'm just crowd surfing. And so I start to go towards the band, and I'm like swimming on top of these people. And so when we went past something happened, and one of the bouncers said, "Don't be crowd surfing, and if you go over the barrier, you're going to get thrown out." So I start coming towards the barrier, towards the band, and these bouncers jump up and rip me down from on top of these people. And I fall down on the cement. It's pretty messed up. Luckily, I don't get hurt. And so I got irate. I was like, what the F is going on? I was fine up there and you guys pulled me down. They're like, you're out of here. And I sat there and, was hostile. I had driven 300 miles to see 2 songs and now they're going to throw me out. So I was getting ready to act like an idiot, and then a couple policemen started noticing that I was irate, so I pulled it in, and I thought, I don't need to get arrested. So I went out of the exit, was thrown out of the exit, and then I ran around the other side of the venue, and I still had my ticket stub. So I said, hey, I walked up to the security guard and I was just like, I just had to go to my car to get something. And the guy says, don't give me any SH, you know what? I can't cuss because this is a clean show and I want it available to everybody. So the guy says, don't give me any crap. I'm not up for this. And so I was just like tucked my tail between my legs and I was bummed. I drove all this way to see 2 songs, paid all this money to see 2 songs. So, make a long story short. Anyways, I turned around and there's all these girls walking into the show and I said, hey, don't, crowd surf, don't be surfing on top of the crowd. You'll get thrown out. And this chick said, you got thrown out? And I said, yeah. And she said, you know what? I have an extra ticket and you can have it. And I was like, oh my God, I love you. I want to marry you. And I went right back into the show, got right back up on top of the crowd and started crowd surfing again. But this time something happened. The crowd opened up and I got dropped on my head. A concussion. I was okay, but it was definitely a concussion. My eyes crossed. I've never been hit so hard in my life. So it's kind of strange how things flip-flop. And they change constantly back to, reeling it back in. Things constantly change. Sometimes things are good and sometimes things are bad, but they're constantly changing and flip-flopping. It's the teaching in Buddhism called the 8 dharmas: pleasure, pain, loss, gain, fame, disgrace, praise, and blame. Things constantly flop. So that's the good thing about it. Sometimes life will be tough and usually it's a mixed bag. It's good and bad. There's no, the thing that I love about these books, spiritual books or philosophical books, psychological books. The thing I like about them is they offer solutions to suffering. The books that I like to read do. The thing that I don't prefer about these books is sometimes they will give you some utopian explanation. I was going to say explanation, utopian explanation of what will happen if you practice these solutions. And what they say will happen, I think even in this book, in other books, a lot of times they will say the end of all suffering. And I don't think that's possible. Let me define a couple things for a second. There's pain, and we're not talking about physical pain. We're talking about mental pain. And then there's suffering, and suffering is more kind of like, I don't have a super huge vocabulary, but I imagine it would be similar to anguish. And it's self-inflicted suffering. We just, it's part of the human condition. We run over and over and over this stuff. And I don't think in my experience that it's able ever in my life. If something happens, when something happens, if my mom gets cancer, if I get cancer, something happens to my child, I'm going to suffer for a little bit. Once I see the bigger picture and realize that life is a big circle and it's it's not an end. It's probably just a start to something else. Then I will be okay. But there's that initial thing. Something happens. You get in a car accident and there's a little pain and suffering. You know, you think, whatever, you might be, hopefully you're not hurt, but you're sitting there, your car is wasted, and you think about, how am I going to pay for this? My insurance is going to go up. I'm late for work. All this stuff. And it's just natural. It's part of the human condition. That stuff isn't, you know, I don't know anybody who could just be like, oh, well, that's okay. You know, maybe some, billionaire who's got it made, but for the other 99% of us who have to work and put in a lot of sweat, blood, and tears in order to, you know, have nice lives, there's gonna be some pain and suffering. So that's what I don't prefer about these books, is they say once you practice these things, that it's gonna be the end of suffering. I don't think that's true. So, you know, maybe some people are in different places. Maybe I'm not just evolved enough to experience that. But the thing that I am evolved enough to do is to be aware enough to realize that, hey, that accident, that mistake, that argument, that happened yesterday, and I'm caught in my mind running this stuff over and over and over. So I need to just feel it. I need to accept what is in my life. I need to feel it, and it's not going to feel good, but I need to feel it, and I need to allow it to pass through me so I can continue in my life instead of just rerunning these thoughts, this internal dialogue, this mental movie of what has happened, and not let it impede the energy through coming through my heart. You know, I need to keep my heart open. You know, we need to keep our hearts open in life in order to keep energy coming through us, to keep progressing in life, and let that energy help us through our day. It's definitely important. So that's all structures are unstable. It's pretty evident. I used to, when I was a kid, yeah, I've had a lot of cars, and I always wanted a nice solid car, because I've had a lot of cars and they've all been crappy cars. That's probably why I've had probably 20 different cars, and I just wanted a good car. And once you get a good car, stuff still goes down, you know. There's no just you get this perfect car, or you get this perfect mental state, and then you just maintain it forever. It's not. It's a fairy tale. There's nothing that you control. Nothing. You can't control your thoughts. You can just be aware of them. That's the only thing that you could do. You could just watch thoughts. You can watch events in your life come and go, experience them, participate in them, and then get ready for the next thing, because it's just constant change. That's the only thing that is guaranteed in life, and you must know that. You must learn that. And when you learn it and when you accept it, you're going to be okay, and we're going to be okay. Eventually, time is an angel or devil.